LPL 赛季已经打了一半了，强弱队伍的差距已经在逐渐的拉开，包括东部的3强，包括西部的有 EDG 有 RW。而在这个赛季的话，其实东西部的强弱差距，我认为还是存在的，包括现在东部的新的3强 ，RNG、IG、京东。
绿毛也在人堆里面想要继续守。 莫甘娜闪现，但还是死了，交了个死亡闪现，后续还在继续追，维鲁斯也死了，千珏在追击的过程中也没有办法留下来，多 NB 也死了，最后只剩下一个 Mouse。
上个赛季的时候，我们发现东部的3杰是学习了西部，而这个赛季不知道东部的3强能否还延续上个赛季火热的状态。除了春季赛的4强以外，我觉得京东的加入也会让夏季赛、季后赛更加的好看。 可能京东会成为那个搅局者，不知道春季赛的4强谁会出局，谁又会进局，季后赛会告诉我们答案。
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another day, another week of the LPL. We're coming back for week 8, so just over 2 weeks now until we get to the end of our split, moving into playoffs. But that means there are still plenty of games to play. You can see the LGD, we're over in Hangzhou right now. We're tuning in, we're calling in. They're going to be taking on their opponents today, looking to see if they can get themselves another win. That being said, Vici, who are their opponents, have actually been playing up recently, as have all the teams at the very bottom of the standings, trying to make a late split surge and actually make their way into playoffs. Still possible, very difficult to do that over in their conference, but still possible for them. And LGD on a pretty big win streak recently. On the opposite side, Vici, you may remember them from just 2 days ago on Friday as they took on Team RNG, and that was an interesting series in more ways than one. So we'll see if they can replicate that performance, because if they can, there is a good chance they may at least take a game today, if not the entire series, against LGD themselves. But of course, you've got to make sure that you're eating properly and you drink properly. You of course drink some Warhorse, because that'll make sure that you're energized on stage. Fantastic. Well, hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Pulse Cam. This is Clement Chu. How you doing, Clement Chu?
I love yourself a Warhorse. It is indeed a great drink. I really like the blue bottles because those are the ones that are carbonized.
Ah, yeah. I didn't know that. Well, today I learned something and you did at home too. Fantastic, Clement. How you? Because I know that you've gone different with your hair today. I know it was up the other day. I saw, and now it's down. What's with that, Clement?
Well, I like to lower my expectations, so that's
wonderful. On that bombshell, we're going to take a look at the standings. So we'll see how the teams are doing. Of course, it's the usual suspects at the top of the leaderboard. It is, of course, Invictus Gaming, JD and RNG on the eastern side of the conference, and RW, and balance has been restored, Clement, as EDG are now in 2nd place.
Yeah, they almost slid down to 3rd, again overtaken by TOP, but that is no more. The 6-game losing streak is over for EDG, and overall, if you look at the big picture, the real change here is that TOP has taken BLG's spot from last split's playoffs.
Yeah, really a big shift for them. You can see below that it's definitely a 4-horse race. Even Team WE can try and make it into the Western Conference, but of course it is Sunday today, Clement, and we're in intra-conference play, and you know what that means? It means it's an Eastern day, so we're only focusing on the east side of the play.
East side is the B side of the conference, definitely the stronger by far, and then we have the SNG and LGD playing today as well. So yeah, the battle for 4th is going to be very much decided by today's matches.
Yes, indeed, and you can see we'll be starting off with Vici taking on LGD. Then will be the e-commerce wars of JD and Student Gaming. Lots of change since last time these two teams met each other. And we'll end the day with Don't be deceived, folks. That's RNG, not JD, again playing. They would have flown over to Beijing. They'll be taking on Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, small typo over there, but we do not have any schedule where a team plays twice in a row. And RNG will be repeating the semifinal match against Invictus Gaming today at the final set.
They will. That will be an interesting one. And of course, that's our match of the week, so make sure to tune in later. That will be happening at 7 PM China time. And that will be, I believe it's Dom, Raz, and Rusty actually casting that one. So if you want a bit of tri-cast action, that'll be happening later. But I know last time these two teams met, it was definitely interesting, Clement.
Definitely was. Actually, there's a lot of grudge matches between these two, and the biggest changes have been part of the rosters. IG is now running a duo between the Shy and Duke. They're both getting their turns onto the Rift. And for RNG, of course, the King is back. Uzi is going to helm the bot lane.
Yeah, the King is back. Though I know in recent games, the King has definitely been all over the place. He's been having too much of the royal wine, I guess, and he's just been you know, slipping and sliding all over the place. And I feel like I need to echo FLICKR sentiments that was, feel like, just in general, RNG are actually slumping now that they have the King back in the bottom lane. It's almost like they're relying too much on Uzi to carry in the bottom side and not putting anything in Xiaohu or even the top lane.
My take is Uzi is trying to feel out the meta. We have no other player that has tried Kog'Maw in this patch, no other player that has tried Vayne this patch. He heard Riot talk about, hey, we're introducing back the crit ADCs. He wanted to have a go at it, but so far they've not been looking so hot. The laning phase has been terrible for them, and in Game 3 versus Vici Gaming, when everything was on the line yesterday, he said, okay, I'll go back to the Varus. I'll play with the meta.
That's fair, and at the very least, there's still a couple weeks until playoffs, and they've already accrued themselves a lot of points. So we'll see how that'll happen later on today, again, 7 PM China time. But for now, let's start talking about our first matchup of the day. It's going to be LGD and Vici. But before we do, let's hear from PYL.
Vici 的 AD Snow 是一个比较年轻的 AD 嘛，但是他用的英雄确实也比较多，比较全面，但是可能有些英雄熟练度不太高吧。如果他用一些不太熟悉的英雄，我们在下路应该能够打出优势。
The second point is conjecture.
Yeah, he's just making a big assumption there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, well, if he plays so many champions, he might not be so good on some of them. But, you know, Snow has been really covering a lot of spots. He was a good Swain player, and coming back, he's had very good performances on the Jhin as well. I remember yesterday's game, he had over 1100 AD at the end of it, just with the auto attacks.
Yeah, just Jhin things.
Yep.
Yep. Big stuff for them. But of course, it's the rest of the team that we need to be looking at here for Vici. And I feel like this series in particular, you know, I referenced it just before, but up against RNG on Friday, this was quite the series, Clement.
Yeah, Vici actually played out of their minds. It was a nail-biter of a set, and it was the longest game that we've seen in the LPL so far this split. Over 1 hour of action, and Vici was actually winning in a lot of these scenarios. You can see the Jhin we were just talking about, going with the Hail of Blades and sniping out Uzi in this play for a triple.
Yeah, again, talking about Uzi, it felt like there was a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes just on the execution coming out from him. Again, just getting kicked there into the rest of the team. There's one. Yeah, I promise, guys, this isn't just an Uzi failing compilation that we've actually formed to you guys. This is just some of the big team fights. But you can see in those big team fights, Uzi wasn't having the best of times.
Definitely wasn't. And we did see Swift have his target on Uzi the entire way through, bringing out the Lee Sin and kicking him back with that extra damage now. Lee Sin is a better pick against those targets with less hit points. So, you know, it's going to be a very strong carry matchup between LGD and Vici today, between Swift and Amy.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see a lot more Lee Sin, because I know we have a couple Lee Sin gods in the league. You know, got a Flawlesses, like Clids, and then just in general, everyone plays Lee Sin. So I want to see more of that for sure. But if we're taking a look at Vici, maybe just you know, take a step back for a second. They have a lot of people now on their roster. You know, like I feel like we see a different iteration of Vici every time they play.
Vici has been running a 10-man roster. The only position where they don't have a sub, of course, is Swift. And if you look at the recent 3 weeks, they've been bringing Riguan for the top lane, a player that has a better, is more stable, as Audi would say. He doesn't go mental boom as often. Coco, of course, being brought in from Turkey by Swift. And then you have, I'm sorry, Martin stepping back in, which is someone we haven't
seen the name in a while. Yeah, I was trying to struggle to read it too.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since spring, but he's been stepping in for Snow for a couple of games. They did play Snow in the final between RNG, and then this is, I think, the big one. Xingtai has been starting over Caveman, and I do believe he is here to stay. He's been a much more stable performer on that Tom Kinch. He's definitely stepped up the pace of Vici overall.
Oh yeah, he definitely just seems like a straight upgrade in the bottom lane. That's a little sad to say because I think K-Fan definitely has his ups in the bottom lane. You think of the big playmaking ability that he has. You look towards maybe like a Bard. Haven't seen Bard in a long time, but that was his big signature pick. You also look at the likes of Rakan, but nowadays it feels like he's just been a bit phased out. Though we're going to take a look at what they're running today. It's Aldi in the top lane, Swift in the jungle, Coco in the mid with Snow and AD carry, and of course, as I said, Singtai in the support role.
I would think that this is Vici's strongest roster today. I think that's their best 5-man that they can run. And over here on LGD's side, we're seeing pretty much their staple, Jinu in the top lane, Amy in the jungle, Yuki mid, Y4, and PYL helming the bot.
Yeah, been very impressed with how Y4 has been performing recently. I feel like he is just such a good marksman to have down there. Of course, before he was behind Uzi, and now he's actually taken a bit of a step into the spotlight. I think that he definitely deserves it, considering his marksman play and also what he's done on the majors too. You know, he was innovating down there with the Orianna, so let's see what else he can bring out today.
Yeah, the big question for LGD right now, I believe, is Yuki's champion pool. Since on 8.14, I've never seen someone get targeted so hard.
Yeah, hit him with the
top
nerf bat.
4 champions have all been nerfed. Yasuo, Aurelia, Talon, and I believe, Zoe as well. So that's a big question mark. We haven't really seen him play on week 8, and we're having to wait to see what goes, how he does.
That's true. You know, not only was he a big consistent member, but I think he's a big playmaker in the mid lane as well. You know, we're talking about solo kills. I believe he's still leading. Statsman Clement, have you got me backed off on this one? I think he's still leading in solo kills in the mid lane.
You have to ping production for that.
I know he's just smashing everyone in the mid lane, you know, but of course, champion pool is a big issue now. Will he be able to perform the same way of these champions? That being said, I think it affects a lot of our performing mid laners. You know, think of the likes of like Korn recently as well, has also been playing up, but that's also because of the champions that he's been dishing out in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. The talent is still here and there, but we've basically not seen the Yasuo, and I think the biggest victim of the 8.14 patch so far has been Swain. He's basically disappeared from the mid lane. That being said, though, I think LGD is on a very big upswing. In the recent month, they actually have the 4th highest win rate overall in the LPL, going 5-2. So, not to say anything, not to put you guys on the hype train, but if LGD do make playoffs, it would actually be the biggest regular season turnaround in LPL history.
I seem to remember, Clement, that you owe me 10 coffees, actually, from the last bet you made against
I'm pretty sure it wasn't 10.
No, it was.
No, I didn't go up to 10.
No, it's on tape, Clement. We can actually find the B-roll for that. So, yeah,
I'll do that.
I'll see you at Starbucks. Anyway, let's get into this matchup. Vici against LGD. Going to ban away the Yasuo, Tamkench, and Talon. LGD will remove the Rakan, Talia, and Aatrox, of course. First pick of the Camille to Vici.
Alright, so it does look like Vici is not going to take any chances. Even though they haven't seen Yuki on 8.14, they're still taking away the strong champions from them. And the Tamkench is the interesting one, because both of these teams are first-pick Tamkench teams. Singtai has been a Tamkench main, so has PYL, but they're not deciding to go for that. They're just taking it away and going for the strong jungler instead.
Yeah, not right here, though there is no protection against now a Zoe pickup here for LGD. You were talking about the nerf bat that happened specifically to Yuki, but he's not going to be phased.
Yep, nothing really changing on Yuki's plate right here. Still going for the Zoe. Now, the Zoe nerfs were actually quite substantial, but we haven't seen her play rate really drop at all. Players are saying we can soldier through that W nerf, it doesn't really matter. 40 points damage, it's fine.
I mean, really, it's about the rest of her kit that is annoying, to be honest, Clement. It's just like getting Trouble Bubble, the fact that it stays on the floor, the fact that the Palo Star will hit you for 150% of your total health pool. You know, it just feels bad across the board. So, yeah, I think Zoe players are going to be fine with that. I think of Yuki, I think of Yugao, even Jiaohu to a certain extent. But there's going to be the Varus. We're talking about him being straight up the best AD carry on this patch. And it's the LPL, so people just love themselves some Ezreal. So we're going to get Snow picking this one up.
Vici definitely like to play around their mid lane a little bit more. The Korean duo between Coco and Swift is a very strong one, so they do like their side lanes, probably playing into something safer. And we do see Coco pick up the Rise, not locked in yet, but so far has been his most played, and he does like to pick up the tempo for Vici. That's a big difference here. Vici, we typically think of them as a very slow team. With Coco drop shipping around the map, it's a different scenario.
Yeah, I think we can kill that narrative around Vici nowadays. You know, the fact we've essentially had 8 weeks of play now, that's just not been a thing. You know, they're not a slow team. They're not the team of 1,000 cuts. They are just straight up in your face, up tempo. LGD will find themselves an Alistair. I've definitely been talking to FLICKR a lot about this one, and PYL, I think he's exceptionally strong on the Tam Kenchers, the Alistairs. I think it's a bit of a band-aid for him, because they have an ability to, when he face checks the brush by himself into 7 people, he's got an ability to make him not die. So it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, definitely we don't want to be the Lucifer of the league. And we can see LGD actually respecting the possibility that Audi will go on the Camille. Now, Audi was the top-ranked Camille player in Korean solo queue for a very long time. 72% win rate and made it all the way to rank 6. So they're saying that this Camille could still be in the top lane, and we have to respect the jungle bans going towards Swift. So they do take out the Nidalee, a champion that he has a 100% win rate on.
It's very likely. I mean, we see a lot of top lane Camilles in the league anyway, Clement. I mean, yesterday even we saw Gimgoon pick it up into the top lane. So it's a good chance it could be flexed up there. It's also going to be an Ornn ban coming out of LGD. We're going to finish off Vici with a Kennen and a Trundle. So again, looking towards the jungle, looking towards the top lane.
And Nocturne's going to be the pick for Amy. This is one of his favorite picks. The way that Amy likes to play is level 6, you get an all-in. Level 1 to 5, I don't think Amy's necessarily the best at getting those first bloods, but he likes to play with those big ultimates. Recently picking up a lot of Sejuani as well to complement that playstyle.
Yeah, you say recently, though, I think that Amy has always picked up Sejuani. You think of the level 6 ultimates, that really just nails it on the head there. So yeah, it will be Nocturne today. Vici going to be solidifying a Shen pick, going to be throwing that one down into support. But I look at this Nocturne, I'm thinking Swift, you could go multiple different directions. You could go for the Evelyn, that would be hilarious. But more likely you could see a Kindred come out. There's not going to be a Nidalee because it's been banned. But maybe he just goes for a tank as well. He's going to lock in the Sejuani. He actually just meets Amy with the rest of his champion pool.
Yeah, I do like the Sejuani pick here. You do have the team fight edge over the Nocturne if it's just a straight up 5v5. And I believe in this composition, Vici does have enough globals themselves to kind of equalize the playing field. If it's a 4v5, they're most likely going to have someone joining the fight almost immediately.
Yeah, Jinyu went through 2 hype picks and then a Mundo, so we'll see what he goes. Ah, it's Mundo. Yeah, I feel this is the problem with Jinyu nowadays. Every time he goes for a carry pick, I think the Quinn more recently doesn't really work out that well. And it's like, alright, Jinyu, back to tank duty, and that's essentially where he's going to be at.
I have to say though, even though Jinyu, he's been a little bit disappointing us in terms of the picks, he's actually been playing team fights a lot better. So that's always been the big weakness of Jinyu, that his team fight on tanks has not been the most stellar, but on Mundo, I feel like it's a champion where you don't really need to think that much about the CC selection. You actually have no CC, so you just run at people.
Hey man, you've got that infected cleaver. Hit them with that slow.
So the Camille does go into the top lane. Audi, we haven't seen him on that champion quite a lot. To be honest, when Vici does play with carry top laners, they've not shown a lot of synergy between their jungle to actually make the top lane work. So I think that's going to be the big test for them. Can they snowball the top lane Camille before the Mundo just takes over with the Sunfire?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very short window as well, because that's really just like, you're looking at pre-6 specifically. Maybe at level 6, you force the Mundo to ult, he kills himself, and then you jump on him. That's a possibility, but it's a tough lane to snowball, so we're going to have to see a lot of attention up there. That being said, you just mentioned it yourself, we don't really see Amy as a pre-6 jungler, so you're essentially 2 versus 1 up there anyways. Yeah. So we'll see if he's actually able to move to the top side of this Nocturne.
For the rest of the map, we have a very safe bottom lane coming out from Vici Gaming. Basically, they're not looking to play the laning phase at all, just with the Shen and Ezreal to stay safe, and a super aggressive bot lane for the likes of LGD, bringing in the Varus and the Alistar. It's a very strong level 6 kill combination there.
Yeah, it is indeed. Also Varus, we'll see what build he's going to go for today, but I reckon it's probably just going to be the lethality one. We have an AP mid laner. Heck, yesterday I watched a team with Varus with no AP, and he just went lethality anyway. So probably just going to be that build in the end. As we are loading onto the red, folks. Vici versus LGD. I'm going to hand it over to Hongdo.
So someone just shouted, "Please don't give up first blood."
Do we know whether he was from LGD or from Vici?
I believe it was from LGD.
LGD, alright. Well, that's a fair shout. So, I'll give him that one. Alright, LGD looks like they're going to go for mostly lines of scrimmage right here, just reinforcing their bottom side. Going to be a defensive ward towards red buff. And Jinu's just going to sit in top brush. Let's take a look at the keystones. Mid lane going for that phase rush over the Rise. Anything jumping out to you there, Clement?
Well, the big one definitely is the comment on the Varus for Y4. We have seen the Lethal Temple and being built into the attack on hit build as well. But like you said, the LGD, they do have a very good poke composition. Mundo complements that as well, so he will be going for the lethality and Q-Max build.
He will, yeah. Seems like players are just prioritizing that pretty much regardless of the situation, but I do agree that it definitely amplifies the siege composition that they have here.
Oh, LSMLZ and Uzi would like a word with you. They're still definitely going for the on-hit build.
That's fair. That's fair. But though I feel like SMLZ is his own beast. Bottom lane, it's going to be a dash onto Y4, but nothing really to write home about in the early parts of this laning phase.
Yeah, we did see a bit of nerf to Shen early on. Attack speed has gone down after the Q. So his early level 1, level 2 all-in potential has been nerfed substantially.
Yeah, it was a little high before. That being said, 70% fan vote over to Vici. I don't remember the last time I've actually seen anything like this at all.
Wow, that's peculiar, because Vici currently is sitting at 1 in 13 in the standings. That being said, however, their only win did come from LGD.
Well, there you have it. We've determined.
They're the kryptonite, basically.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah, possibly. I can't remember who I was talking to, but they were telling me, I think it actually might have been FLICKR, saying that it's more efficient to bet even if there's like a small chance because of the ratios being so big.
Yeah.
So if you are betting, then actually just you know, go for the potential upset, and it's actually more efficient in the long run. So totally understand it, though 70% is a big number. Going to have a deep ward coming in here by Yuki. He's going to spot Swift as he moves on towards his Raptors. More importantly, as he moves towards the Crab area, which Amy is already on top of.
I think in terms of the early laning phase, what we're really looking for is those top lane dives, pretty much. Camille's going to have the control of the lane. The other lanes, not so much. I don't really expect that much action to be happening. But that being said, Yuki goes in.
It's that time for Swift. He's completely zoned away. Amy gets the smite down, and Yuki chimes in for another Raptor himself. And Coco is just sitting pretty in mid lane, so Swift is going to essentially just lose his bottom side of the map here.
Yep, and that's kind of the problem with Sejuani early on. LCK loves their Sejuanis, but in the LPL, it actually has a sub 40% win rate.
Yes, it does.
And the problem is what we see right there. In terms of 1v1s, there's not actually a lot of champions you can beat out.
Yeah, I think the Zindao right now is sitting at 28%. And he's got like 30 games as well. It's not even like a small number. Pretty unlucky.
But here is the 3-man dive that we were talking about. Most likely going to happen early. No minion dematerializers on the Rise, but he's still able to get the roam down.
That's what you're hoping for. I'm actually wondering how the wave is looking in mid lane. Seems like there's a big wave to resolve towards the Rise, because currently he is down about 2 waves. Zoe's going to look for the recall. Going to get a nice little back timing here. Indeed, it will be cannon wave here for Coco. We'll see what that Zoe will pick up on her first back. There's going to be a bunch of amp tomes, looks like.
Yep, that's always the best time to use a minion dematerializer and make sure you get the wave shoved. The second cannon minion, you get that shoved in, you have 10 extra seconds to go to the other lanes.
Well, this is going to hurt a lot. Zintai has to flash away from this one, still with the Ignite ticking down as it comes up. And PYL with the Tam Kench.
Yep,
and
loves
again,
that emote.
and wow, all right.
We see him do it so many times when he's about to win a game.
Yeah.
When he makes a kill.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a mind game thing for him now.
Does he do it when he's behind?
I believe he would be a little busy.
Right. Fair. Yep. Swift right here. It's just farming up his crux, maybe looking towards the bottom side. There is a big push coming up, but bottom lane hasn't actually gone back to base yet, so there's a good chance that Y4 looks for a back after this minion wave.
Yep, looking for that timing to potentially get a tier onto Snow, and LGD are just trying to shove as hard as possible, deny that.
Yes, indeed. Yuki's found himself a smite. Lovely. And Amy is going to just clear out his top side of the map, move towards the top crab, it looks like. But, you know what you promised me, Clement? You promised me top lane action. You promised me, you know, things were going to happen pre-6. I don't even know if Swift has gone to the top side of the map, to be honest, in the first 5 minutes of the game.
He has gone twice, okay? But he's just never found the situation to really get a kill. I actually felt like they could have went all in on the first run. Taken out Mundo, but the minion dematerializer from Yuki shoving in the wave so hard really dissuaded Coco to go in on that 3v1.
Again, another Raptors contest. This time, we've brought some extra firepower in the form of Shen, but as for LGD, here's a cow thrown into the mix. Yuki throws out the panel star, and in comes the teleport out from Vici. Coco in for the mid lane, he flashes back to his team. Amy flashing away from this play, but he's low himself, and the teleport comes through, but he will be finished off by the FLICKR. Yuki flashes back into the enemy territory, jumps over the wall, but you've got to come back. That's going to be a kill. Swift gets a bit of HP off that one, but will still go down to the Varus, and this is a complete mess in the bottom side of the map. It's cool. Looks to go down. That's Coco, not cool. And Sintai will get away from the fight, but that's still 3 kills to LGD.
Yeah, the big difference here, it was a 5v4. Jinwoo had his teleport up, but Camille had already used it to get to lane. So, unfortunate situation right there. It actually started out very good for Vici. We saw the Ezreal coming in over the wall, dumping his damage in, and then Coco drop shipping for the first 2 kills. But LGD, with that extra member, is able to take it back.
Now, seeing that Manu was going to interrupt him on that one, but yeah, it all just opens up as soon as PYL comes in with the classic Alistar flank. Yeah, it was a good idea coming out from LGD, but they weren't able to clean off Coco straight off the build. The cleanse did save him in the end, and the focus fire early on from LGD actually backfiring a little bit, but this is when Mundo does come in and start mopping up the situation. Swift is in a very bad position where he's definitely going to fall down, and then PYL comes in for the double knockup again. Yep. So a quad knockup in this fight coming in from PYL, and another emote, just to be fun. Another emote, yeah. To be honest, I think PYL was just straight up the MVP of that fight. I mean, there was just A, the flank, and then B, I guess another flank over the Dragon Wall that came through, so really just on top of his game right there. Yeah. And I think if we're just talking about PYL in general recently, he has really been stepping up. You know, I think back to even the start of this split, I think that a lot of people would point towards PYL as being the problem on the team. You know, you look at Spring, you look at even 2017, and then of course Imp removed from the roster, and then PYL still here, and people are like, well, why? He seems like part of the problem. Why aren't you drafting a new support? And I think that in the last couple of weeks, specifically aligning with LGD and their big win run that you've been talking about, Clement, I think that PYL has simultaneously been doing very well himself.
He's roaming a lot more, but I feel like he has better coordination across the team. It's not just him walking in the bush and dying. He's actually taking his teammates places, especially on the Tom Kench, and they're making plays together. So that's been a very big step up for them, and right here we can see it again. Sejuani not getting things done before level 6. Now it's Amy's turn.
Yeah, that's the PYL calling card right there. He comes in with the knockup onto Aldi, follow through with the ultimatum, trying to open up some space. I appreciate it, Aldi, but he's going to jump back towards PYL, who flashes away from it. He's put to sleep permanently by that bubble, and that's a kill to Yuki.
That's about as well as you could play it on Audi's side if the Zoe did not come out of the brush to snipe away that kill. There was a chance that PYL could have been taken out there.
Yep. Ultimately, it was a flash force. I mean, he had the flash at the end of the day, and it's not like Camille moves at the speed of light when she's jumping from a wall, so relatively easy to dodge on reaction. Yeah. That being said, LGD will get themselves a top tower, and Vici, they do respond with an Infernal.
And this is the problem whenever Vici does pick up a carry top laner. We've seen it multiple times. We've seen Audi go for the Aurelia top laner as well. But every single time, it's the same story. They don't put enough resources into the top lane to really snowball the carry. And then they have it all backfire on them.
Oh, yeah. So, well, that's, yeah, that's Varus starting to scale up. As you can see, he's already picked up his Ghost Blade at 9 minutes into the game. And yeah, that was approximately 25% of Snow's HP, and it will continue to do that for the next 15 minutes. And in fact, it will get worse. So
it will get a lot worse in this situation. It's one of the big reasons that you see the Varus pop up so much. The lethality build is just so good against those low health targets, low armor resistant targets.
The squishy targets, one might say.
Yeah, for the bot lane.
You know, I'm a big fan of the build. You know, back in the day we had the good old Legolas build, and then it disappeared for a long while. And then we had an AP build for some reason, and then I saw a Varus running around with a death cap, and then now we have once again the lethality build, the Legolas build.
Yeah, it really depends on the targets you're facing up to. these days. The main reason I feel like this build has been more popular is because they've taken away so much sustain from the bottom lane. So poke does stick pretty heavily, and on 8.15 that's going to continue to be the case. You can only bring 2 potions now for supports. Yeah. Support items are more expensive in that case, so expect to see more lethality builds. The other champion we have seen on lethality has been Misfortune.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's one too,
in the bottom lane, SMLZ has been playing it a couple times as well.
That's also true, yeah. I believe Misfortune got herself her first win the other day. Hey! Round of applause for that one. But I do think that she's like 2-5 right now. So, a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, when Misfortune works, when she gets ahead, specifically lethality builds, like all assassin builds and like early game builds like that, if they get ahead, they snowball really hard. But if your team falls behind, which is actually what was happening in a lot of those Misfortune games, then well, you lose the game. That's basically what happens. But again, with the Varus build, it seems like pretty good when you're even or ahead. That being said, I'm just going to see Jinnu come down into his jungle, place down a ward right there. Swift is actually pathing toward the mid lane here.
Smart play by Jinnu. He knows the 3-man is coming up for him. Leaves the wave alone. Just walks back past his own Crux. So very safe play coming out from Jinnu.
Yeah, however, from LGD, they are actually looking for a counter jungle. Ty knows this is happening. He's over the wall. And Amy probably going to get away with this smash and grab. I think he's okay. That being said, he did pass through a pretty dangerous brush, but he's going to be fine. So in the end, LGD get themselves a red buff. And Amy being a little bit aggressive, something you wouldn't really, you know, put on the trademark of the... Uh-oh. PYL. He wasn't feeling it. He could have recalled that brush, but he didn't want it. So same Ty though, doesn't choose to execute on the flash, so he'll also get out regardless.
Yeah. He does probably realize at the end there that Shen is coming for him, and there's a ward actually where he was trying to recall. So it does save most of his summoners and just doesn't window shop, walks back.
Just saying, a true Minotaur in that situation, Clement would have committed to the recall.
That would not have been the correct choice.
Yeah. And again, you know, the old PYL would have done that.
It would be the PYL choice.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the correct choice.
It's the one who actually goes for the smart play. Shelly's going to come in and she's going to have a crack at mid lane tower. LGD are here with 3. Zoe's got a redemption. Don't know why she has that. But in comes Shelly for another charge. Takes the tower down to half. Not going to be a full committal. But still, LGD, nice little rotation.
And you have to comment that most of these rotations are actually coming off Jinnu. Yeah. Jinnu, you know, he already finishes pushing the top lane, goes towards the bot side. There's nobody really there. They have more numbers and they just push it in. So this entire sequence of plays actually comes off of Jinnu being very careful at the top lane, avoids the 1v3 scenario, and then helps out his team when he does have the lane shoved. So good play coming out from the top lane. Smart play.
Being careful, but also being competent. You know, we were talking about Champion Select and we were saying, well, top lane is going to be very much a focus for Vici Gaming. Swift's going to be up there. Audi's going to be hitting with the ultimatum. POL is going to be charging his entire. But Jinnu didn't even go for the Sunfire Cape Rush. He actually went for boots into Balmy Cinder, then actually goes towards the Spectre's Calendar Spirit Visage. So he actually just doesn't care about Audi or Swift at all.
That build basically tells you that, number 1, I'm not afraid about the 1v1 against Camille. You're not actually going to kill me. And number 2, I just want more CDR.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's looking for later on into the game. He's actually future-proofing, looking for the mid-game, looking for team fights. But if I'm a Camille, I'm a little bit miffed. You know, I'm looking at him, I don't even deal any magic damage. And he's just, he's building all of this magic resist. So.
Well, she does do magic damage.
That doesn't count.
On the ults, but you're right, it doesn't really count. Now, I really want to see Audi do something with this Camille pick, because so far it's been pretty much a dud. They missed out on the first teleport, no picks, no wave control either.
LGD are setting up for a bit of a dive down here. They're still hovering around the area, and Y4 will get the push off. Singtai does want to hold on because he's got Swift and he's got Coco behind him. PYL gets the combo off into the Chain of Corruption, follows through with the Ice Cage. That's going to be locking down Center One. A big hit coming in from the Zoe. But in the end, it won't be a kill. It's a lot of love taps, as Snow will have to dodge that one as well.
A little bit unfortunate for Vici Gaming right there. They probably wanted to hit the ultimate onto someone who is already in tower range, get that extra damage from the tower to help them out. But LGD backed out in an instant. It lands on no one, and the play fizzles.
Yes, indeed, but LGD, regardless of that fact, is still able to move up to this dragon, looking for the steal. Oh my god, Swift. You can't just do that to them. Gets away with it. Coco won't, but who really cares? That's an Infernal Dragon over to Vici Gaming.
That was a little bit unfortunate, but they could still try to look for something back. They are in a 4v3 scenario, so they decide the better of it and just back off. But
for daylight robbery.
Yeah. For Vici, I felt like that's kind of the communication issue you see with Swift between him and the rest of his teammates. Like, they probably should have got out clean for that. They didn't need to advance on 2 fronts at the same time, and they basically gave an extra target for Amy when there shouldn't have been one.
Yeah. Unfortunate in the end, and that will be LGD cracking the last remaining outer tower, actually, towards Vici. Junior's able to defend his top lane tower, but again, let's just bask in the glory. That is a hop over the wall, an easy smite, and a walk away.
You can see Amy just hesitating at the start of it. He wanted to go on to Sejuani. He's like, where's Sejuani? She's gone, oh, but I still have Coco in the bot, so it's fine.
I'll take that. I'll take that kill to the bank, no problem. 0-2 and 2 currently at Rise, but he is scaling up. I'll say that LGD still have a 3,000 gold advantage and very much a mid-game composition. Yep. So they're going to be totally fine. But again, you know, I start thinking about the late game if we potentially get there, you know, and my mind is instantly cast back to TOP FPX that happened yesterday. And what happened, Clement? Well, they got stalled out and then they lost.
That is always a possibility, but for LGD, I think they have far superior playmaking at this point. They have the push in all 3 lanes.
They do.
They do have the global from Nocturne, and Jinu has been pretty careful about where he roams on the map. He has been proactive as well. And for Vici Gaming, even though they do have, I would say, the late game 5v5, I think they do have the potential to outshine in that scenario.
Yep.
Rise late game, Ezreal late game are very deadly champions. It's going to take them a very long time. It's definitely a post 35-minute thing for them.
It is for sure. And every play that happens, you know, just pushes it back even further. Though the silver lining in the Cloud Dragon, is the fact that, well, we've actually had 2 Infernals. So Vici managed to get both of those is going to be a big deal as we get later on into the game. Not really so much now, but, you know, when we get into those big on 5v5s, it will be big. I will say, Clement, that my protagonist for this game and this series is still PYL. I want to see how PYL is doing. I think right now, doing very well. He's got 100% kill participation, 0-0-5. We were talking about him earlier. I think that in recent history, he's definitely been stepping it up. So, what else is he going to do? Because I think a lot of these fights is going to really start off on an Alistar flank. That's typically how LGD have played out these games when they have an Alistar.
Yeah, PYL is very much the main initiator on his team. The problem with PL is he had very high amounts of isolation deaths, but if you look at this match here, the roams coming out for PYL have always been very coordinated with his team, and he's not leaving his AD to dry.
Right.
Like, before, when he was playing with Imp would pick something like a Sivir. He said, PYL, I know you're going to roam. It's in your nature. It's fine, buddy. I got you covered. I'm going to wave clear. And that wasn't always the best scenario because PYL didn't always convert on those roams.
That's
and
what
they
we
would
call
lose the bot lane
that's
as
what
well.
we call enabling. When someone does something bad, don't enable them. That's some life advice there, folks.
Yep. Yeah, it's called baiting your teammates as well in solo queue.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And then they die, and you lose the game, but it's not your fault. But though technically it is because you enabled them.
You have to understand the concept of accountability to really excel at League of Legends.
Are we just going to start business terms that, ooh, we'll have to jump over the wall. I think Zoe's still looking for this one, yeah. Very low on that Shen. Mid tower's going to be cracked open here, and LGD, again, just getting more for this. And meanwhile, in the top lane, Coco's just had a grand old time. He's just farming minions while his towers are getting taken.
Yep, so far, Vici's only option is to trade their towers for farm onto Coco. They are looking for him as the big late game carry. He did get the MVP in their match against RNG. I believe close to 30% of the team's damage on that Rise pick. So they're probably looking for him to grab the Morellonomicon, be that split pusher against the Mundo, and try to extend the game that way.
That's the goal. And again, Aldi's going to be face first into a Mundo. Mundo don't care. Mundo has Spirit Visage, and Mundo has the makings of a Sunfire Cave.
Mundo don't care at all. No. It doesn't even matter if you have Executioner's Calling. There's no way that Audi can win this matchup at this point.
With a Triforce? Absolutely not.
So the only real thing for Audi to do is try to find for a pick when Muno's locked into the bot lane. It's also going to be a little bit of a difficult endeavor. If you look at Vici across the board, I don't think they have the burst damage to take down a target before Muno comes in with the teleport. So
yeah, I think that's very, very likely actually.
They're just going to have to sit it out and farm till 35. See you in a while.
All right, I'm going to set my egg timer for 14 minutes from now. Though we might not make it, I'll be honest. LGD, that being said, have not made too many proactive plays in the last 2 minutes. They have just been going back to base, spending their gold. Actually setting up around Baron has been the big thing for them, as well as taking the mid lane towers. So LGD, a lot of setup for them. It's really about this next big play. 2 versus 1 in the bottom lane. Jinnu with the early ultimate pump, but Aldi with the follow through. He needs to get back to his turret, but he just have Amy coming to the bot side as well, and Jinnu is still alive. He has gone golden. Amy does the same, sees this one happening, but we've got Shen on top of him. Aldi's gonna die, but is actually on top of the Sejuani. Amy, low, blasted away, dies, but here comes the rest of the cavalry out from LGD, ready to sweep up the mess. They're gonna get a second here onto the Shen. And LGD with 2. Meanwhile, what is the rest of Vici doing? Not a whole lot, Clement, and Swift will be dying for nothing.
Yeah, I don't like the idea to begin with. They only committed 2 people to that kill on Mundo, who had stopwatch and his ultimate. So that was my first questionable play. And then Vici's put the Stand United on the full health Sejuani instead of Audi, who was already dying and bleeding out. That's the second play I was kind of confused about. And you could see Coco's perspective throughout of that. He was around the area. He was like, no, I'm not role morphing him. Sorry, guys. So you can see it's incredibly difficult to take down Muno at that point. That big health drop, I mean, that only comes off of the Q from Audi there, and it only happens 1 every 4 or 5 seconds. Yeah. So it's not really enough to really threaten the Mundo. And you could see the Stand United as well, just not going on to the right target.
Yeah, I think that like part of that, the saving grace was the fact that Shen did ult the Sejuani so they could secure the kill. It just didn't save Audi. That was kind of the problem. But like if I'm Shen right there, you know, as a Shen player in Season 6, if I saw that someone was going to die, I'd be like, all right, screw that. And then I would teleport on the person I can actually teleport to. So I respect it, Sendai. I respect it. Yeah. And he did secure the kill on the Nocturne. If he didn't do that, that would have been no kill on the Nocturne. That being said, he would have had his teleport cancelled and not have died. But ignore that. That didn't happen. What did happen is he helped secure the kill.
Yeah, I could definitely see that angle. I just questioned the play to begin with. Like, I feel like if you want to do that play, you probably need Rise at this point.
Oh, yeah, you're super right, Clement. Yeah. It was a terrible idea, but never should have happened. Now Aldi is actually just getting bodied in his... Oh, no, that Cleaver lands. He's probably dead off of this.
He is dead.
Yeah, he has to flash away. Jin is going to follow. Look for the masochism. Nice little dodge there.
One more Q.
It's really on this in Cleaver, but oh, Aldi with the second dodge. He lands this last one, but he's got the blast cone. And Jinnu, he's a sad Mundo because he doesn't have another flash, but he still absolutely shreked him in the 1 versus 1.
Yeah, he should have tried to employ the Krugs for that, but
that's true. Actually, he should have angered the Krugs. Yeah,
he tried to go sideways and out mind game Vici. I respect that. That was a good try. Now Coco waiting in the brush, hide on brush, of course.
Hide on brush, yeah, that's the one. Oh no, it's a Rise. But actually, here comes the Nocturne. He breaks his spell shield using the paranoia. Now the rest of the team comes in. Aldi with follow-up onto Amy. He's going to go down for the 3 count, and Y4 is still cutting back. He will be assassinated by Aldi, who comes back for more, but he's about to fall himself. Oh no, he jumps away. Nice bit of damage down to PYL. The true damage comes through. And Jinnu, he's trying to stay on the front lines, but Vici are finding their way into the crack in the armor, and they're doing so much damage right now. Yuki gets one in return. The portal jump back over the wall, but he's also going to fall. That is a straight ace to Vici.
And it's going to be Baron as well for Vici. They're already doing the realm warp. They have 3 people alive. They can definitely take it up there. Vici, you know, the trapception basically happened there. There was 1 trap laid by Vici, another from LGD, and then a final big collapse coming in from Vici once more.
I mean, props to the individuals right there from Vici. So many times I was like, he's going to die. He's dead to rights. There's no way he gets out of this situation. And then multiple times, just big plays come out. Ignore that. It's fine. They got the Baron. But here comes White4 for the cleanup. In with a hail of arrows. But it'll go down anyway. A 1-for-1 trade. And Snow comes up victorious. Last man standing.
And so that will only be, I believe, 2 Baron buffs here. But we can see the trap on trap coming in from the LPL. This is how you have to play. You have to think 3 steps ahead. And the starting position looked fine for LGD. Actually, I believe if PYL did go a little bit backwards and try to meet up with the Sidrani side, it would have been better. He would have taken less damage in the fight overall. But we could see the separation basically was a bit more favorable for Vici. They were hitting on the carries while LGD was hitting on the tanks.
I want to say shout-outs to Aldi as well, actually. His target selection was perfect in that fight.
Definitely was.
Second part of his precision protocol went onto the Alistair who was ulting. That chunked him down, allowed him to get past and bypass the tank front line. So, really, really smart. I mean, we literally saw Aldi just get wrecked in a 1 versus 1 and follow up with the play of his life. So, good stuff coming out from the Camille. That results in the Baron, and what does that do for the game? Well, we've just swung the gold way back to even. There's now only a 1,000 gold advantage in it to LGD. And remember, Vici has this double Infernals, and I'm checking my egg timer, and currently we've only got about 9 minutes until
I hate it when you're right. You know, when I'm watching LGD games, I want to see like a smooth game where they have this great mid-game composition and they can just snowball their entire way through, but that was not to be. Vici actually outsmarting and outplaying in that situation. When you have those really messy fights where teams are split up in 2 sides, it always comes down to who your carries are hitting.
Yes.
And Vici just had a much better distribution in that fight. They had the better target selection that you said, and also the better mobility to really get around that corner.
And here we go once again, folks, where Clement and I teach you some life advice. Always buy insurance. And if you're LGD, I would say buy some late game insurance. That's probably what you need.
What's that?
I don't know. I don't see it.
I don't either.
I don't know how to purchase it, Clement.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like they have it. At this point, I think the Mundo's still fine pushing out, so that should drag out the game quite far. They're definitely not going to lose on this Baron push alone.
But what are we dragging it out for, Clement? That's the question.
For a comeback.
Okay.
They can pick someone.
But then I look towards
That's
the Rise,
always the analyst's answer.
How
How do they come back?
You're not wrong. You're actually not wrong. I've seen many games in my career as a caster where it's just like, surely they won't be able to win with this early mid-game composition, and then someone just walks top lane for no reason to grab a minion wave and they die and then the game ends. So it's still a possibility, though it's much harder. And it seems like Vici, you know, once they smell blood and the Rottweiler grabs onto the arm, they're never going to let go. You know, they're a hungry team. They said at the start of the split, Clement, our goal is to not be 14th. Our goal is to get to 13th place.
Well, if they can beat LGD twice in a row, it's going to be really hard to call them the worst team in the LPL.
That's true.
They might have the worst record, but hey, they always beat this other team. So, you know, that's what they're playing for.
Yeah, we were talking about this, you know, backstage, and I was saying that Vici are like, you know, in the same way that you have like the reverse Flash, they're like the reverse IG, because they're 1 of 13, whereas IG are 13 and 1. But if they win here today, Clement, they would have broken that. They would be 2 and 13, and they'll be catching up to Team WE. For only 1 win in front of that.
Basically saying that Invictus Gaming would have to lose 1 to catch up.
Yes. Yeah. But the Flash in the comic books and the series didn't do that, did he? So.
Not a big comic fan, but
really?
I will trust your word.
Not DC nor Marvel. Usually people will pick one. Oh, that crab got absolutely demolished.
Yeah, that crab didn't have a choice. He didn't get to pick.
No, he didn't. But he doesn't read comic books either. Oh, it's going to be another dragon on the forecast. It's going to be Cloud with a chance of Elder Dragon.
Checking out the gold lead here, we do see a bit of a lead for Coco. He has been on side lane duty for quite a while. And even Camille Audi has been able to sneak in. He didn't have a very good early game. Is now ahead of the Mundo.
He is. Though, I'm not sure that's right in terms of gold. He's got like obviously a lot of farm, but the Mundo has an extra kill over him.
Yeah, I saw the gold tab right there.
Ah,
it's a little bit over. Yeah, a little bit over.
See, I wasn't looking, so
I was like, it just showed up on the gold tab, man. What are you talking about?
Okay, that's fair. These numbers man Clement's got me. That's fair. But Mundo, I mean, when you get to the stage in the game, your tank items are very efficient, and he's got 3 of them, so.
Yeah, there does come the point in the game where Camille can kind of sustain herself as well. She's doing enough damage for the lifesteal she gets from Ravenous Hydra. It does allow her to split push into the Mundo, and that's kind of the big turning point we are looking forward to in the future. LG pretty much need to find a pick and need to close out the game before that really happens, or they're facing a 1-3-1 they can't match.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they can match him in a team fight, to be honest, when you hit that point. Double Infernals at 35 minutes with Elder. LGD pushing into the bottom side. They're actually trying to up the tempo. This is exactly what we like to see from them. So we're putting the Sejuani to sleep. Seems like it's cheating because you've got to put Sejuani and also Bristles to sleep. So you get a 2-for-1 special when you're using Natural Bubble.
Oh, I think they have their, it's called Cidian rhythms sync together, so they fall asleep together as well.
Ah. Or maybe it just puts Bristles to sleep and then Sejuani's on top being like, move, damn it! I think that's probably more likely. Oh, meanwhile on the bottom side, there's going to be so much damage onto that Mundo, trying to burst them out right here. PYL puts onto the front lines as well, but in comes the Nocturne. He's trying to body the back line, but he can't do enough damage. Aldi jumps into the back himself, but actually commits suicide. Meanwhile, it's a good taunt onto Amy, drives him back into the team. The Realm War being charged up, trying to wrap around PYL on Y4. Y4 dodges away. That's a great knock onto Coco, but he still gets the kill into the Alistar. He goes golden, timeout. Time in, and jumps right onto Y4, finds a second. Coco with the play.
But in the end, we do see Yuki picking up a Quadra, I believe, for himself. And, a triple, sorry, excuse me. And I threw that throughout most of that fight, even though they did burst down the Mundo. Y4 was untouched throughout most of that. He actually survived a very long time, killed Aldi in the process. And it looked like it was going to go into Vici's favor from the start of that, but LGD able to claw back just with their 2 carries. They had very immaculate positioning in that team fight.
Yep, they're still going to get the bot lane tower though, so technically they got what they came for, but you're absolutely right, Clement. It looked like it was going to go to Vici, then it looked like it was going to go to LGD, and then no one won because Coco came in at the end and just killed 2 people.
That was going to be an inhibitor down for Vici Gaming if they didn't pick out Y4 at the very end here. Like the burst damage, I was surprised by that, how much burst it was going to do. But Y4 with a very good chance of corruption, locks down the front line, gets a lot of free damage in as well. And you can see Camille diving into the back line, doesn't manage to get him. And really there is no recourse for Snow. He can't find the kill that he wants to. And he falls down to Yuki in the process. So the marksman trade actually goes into the favor of LGD from the midpoint on.
Yeah, Yuki really just popped the heck off. I'm a little bit sad there on the replay we didn't get to follow the journey of Yuki. Because I think in the first time around we didn't actually get to see it anyway. But he was really the difference maker because he did a Coco, essentially. He went into the backside. Look at his damage. 6,500 damage. And he killed, what, 2-3 people on the back end of that fight?
Yeah,
and Coco, yeah, exactly. And then Coco does the same. He gets 2, okay. Stops from taking the inhib, but really Yuki was the one who was pushing that one forwards.
So we can see the fights are actually a lot closer than we imagined. LGD, I have to say, I believe their carries did outplay Vici's carries in that team fight. It should have gone to Vici, just with the state of the game and their early bursting down of the Mundo. But Yuki and Y4 are really shining where it mattered.
Yeah, I think so. I think the problem, though, for LGD is it's like we're expecting them... We don't expect them to win the fights, but we want them to win the fights right now before we hit that crucial 35-minute mark around that territory, because that's when Vici will continue to get stronger. So if we're going even now, Clement, then in another 5 minutes from now, it's likely that Vici will just flat out win based on items, based on composition.
We just want to see more outplay, so we do want to see the team on a timer kind of get back in the game.
Yes, of course. PYL looking for the flank, but he's put in Rune Prison. That's going to be enchanted. And Amy, he was hovering around the area as well. But what that did do, though, was allow LGD access into the Baron area, actually getting control over it. We've got Aldi on the bottom side looking for a split push himself, and the Mundo will go to meet him. But LGD, we're stalling, but what are we stalling for? Because Vici in the bottom, Aldi is going to be putting pressure down here, and we know that Vici are going to be scaling up.
And this might be the point that Audi can split push quite freely against the Mundo. Even though he might not win the 1v1 straight out, he should be able to escape just with a hook shot. So he's feeling very comfortable just doing the 1v1.
It's more the fact he can sustain now, you know. Before, any damage that Mundo did was going to stick. Now he has the Ravenous Hydra, so he can actually continue to push pretty freely in the bottom side. So this triple item breakpoint is really big for Aldi. And as you can see, he's just able to stay in the bottom lane.
I think for LGD, we're going to have to see a Sleepy Trouble catch for them. Things are getting a little bit dire. We can see Vici are perfectly happy, splitting up the map, going into the 1-3-1, just waiting for the timer to run down. Let the Infernals do their work.
Yeah, that's the goal right now. Don't need to be too aggro. And I like that VT are actually just kind of, you know, playing back, but also close enough where they can react to LGD. You know, they're actually playing pretty smart, which is something that I don't associate typically with Vici Gaming, but I think they've done all the right things in this game so far. LGD are going to kick off the Baron here.
We are going to see a potential trade coming up for Vici. So what Vici are thinking right now is they could possibly stall out the Baron take here and try to engage on them.
The burst came in from LGD right there, and just my heart skipped a beat for a second as that Ezreal ultimate came through. But yeah, indeed, in the end, it will just be the trade. Vici get themselves the Elder, which, to be honest, that will probably be my choice as well, considering you have triple dragons and double infernals.
Yeah, this is one of those game states where typically I'm always a Baron person. I feel like the wave control you get from Baron is just worth so much more than the Elder Dragon. And also Baron runs on a longer timer. Yeah, but in this situation, Vici are the ones that want to stall the game out. They don't really mind, and they're looking for one of those big team fights where now where they have essentially triple Infernal Drakes, they could actually just look to close out on a 5v5.
You know, Clement, I wonder sometimes, Baron buff has his timer. Why doesn't Elder Dragon have a timer?
It does have a timer. It's just shorter.
Yeah, but it's not shown on screen, is it? Baron buff's got one in the upper right-hand corner. It's ticking down right now.
That's true.
Just as for Elder Dragon, there's space for it. Put it just, you know, above the minimap, in between, you know, Alice's portrait and the minimap. Or put it next to Baron buff.
But that's where they do the inhibitor timers now.
No, that's true, yeah. Or maybe make the Baron buff timer smaller, and you have like a split kind of overlay hood.
How about they put it right over the player accounts?
Yeah,
I mean, you've seen them for 35 minutes.
That's true, yeah. Elder Dragon doesn't appear until 35 minutes.
Oh, here comes the drop chip.
Right into the bottom lane. Oh, it's going to be a party right here. Amy flashes away, but Jinny under attack once again. He's still alive, though, and he's starting to regenerate. And Aldi ints into the back line. He goes down for the 3 count, and PYL backing away. He's now under duress. And Coco getting free damage, as is Aldi, but are now being forced back. LGD underneath their tower. PYL bled out from something. And Yuki looks for the stump, but he completely whiffs it. That's going to be a massive tactical sweep coming in for Aldi. Followed through from Sentai. And Coco moves forward, gets one, another kill to Vici. This could be it, Clement.
Yeah, the Flux spread killing out PYL there and taking out all the CC that comes with it. Coco coming up huge. He had to stand united and walked back into the fight and took down 2 members by himself right there. It actually started out pretty well for Vici. I thought they were going to continue, but the paranoia coming in was the back out signal for Vici. Unfortunately, Audi probably didn't get the memo. He actually stayed in there, and it looked very dicey for Vici at the start. But the Flux just turned the situation completely. It's a 5v2 to start out the fight. They almost have Mundo down. Paranoia goes down. Audi goes in while the rest of the team is coming out. And we can see Y4 doing massive chunks of free damage onto the front line. It's looking very bad for Vici. They are trying to back out. The Gargoyle Stoneplate does keep Swift alive for a while, but the flex from Coco, spreading out to the Alistar, does get his first kill and stand united, goes in, double taunt, and takes out Y4 as well.
Actually unbelievable stuff coming in from the individuals there.
The damage on Coco is pretty nuts. Like, they didn't expect that he could turn the fight by himself.
Yeah, look at that damage. Almost 8,000 damage coming out from the Ryze, 7,000 coming in from the Camille. Though I will say a lot of Aldi's damage was, you know, onto Mundo in the backside of that fight.
That counts, that counts.
Yeah, it does count, but I think another critical error that came in from Aldi was the fact that he used his precision protocol on the retreating Nocturne. If he'd done that, the true damage would have killed the Mundo before he got the chance to regenerate. And then at the end, he lands a great tactical sweep, allowing the setup onto Sintai's Shadow Dash. So it's like Aldi is a very inconsistent player, though his big plays are pretty big, though I will say that his ints are equally.
Pretty much. It's coin flip so far. To be honest, I still like Audi on something like a Darius. I feel like if you're putting everything into his lane where you have to camp for him, that hasn't been the strong suit for Vici. Ooh, good spell shield.
I mean, you say good, but he looked at him in the eyes for like 5 seconds. He was like, hello, Swift, how's the kids? How's the wife doing? And he's like, yeah, all right. Here's ultimate.
Stunned. It was good.
Meanwhile, on the bottom side, they're opening up the Jinnu, but he just doesn't care. He's going to keep regenerating as a Mundo. They need more burst damage on this Mundo because he's back to full health. They're going to kill Coco, turning it around to Swift now. He dodges out the way. He moves away from the unspeakable horror, but he still gets knocked down by the virus.
I have to say, I don't really like Vici's target selection. In this game, they've gone onto Mundo multiple times at this point, and the big carry you really have to take out is Varus. Like, even though he's a lethality Vars, at this point, he's trucking over like 400 attack damage in a single hit, and that's a 1.65 AD ratio on a full Q. So he could take down the Rise in, like, I would say if you give them 5-second window, he would definitely kill the Rise. So that's a target they should be looking for, but they're settling for the Mundo.
Yeah, see, I don't mind the target selection if everyone selects the same target. But we've got people going rogue, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
you know?
They were cut off by LGD on the left flank, so they couldn't just pile in and finish off Jinnu, and then Y4 found himself basically face-to-face with Rise, with multiple people between them, so the Rise couldn't do anything to him.
Yeah, I think it's less about this fight that we saw here and more about like the continuation of the last 3 fights that we've seen. But again, we're looking towards Jinnu, and it's like, okay, great, we've got the Camille on top of him. This time he finally lands Precision Protocol, but the team's not there, you know, while he's on it.
Slow of a play. That's my problem. If you look at Coco's angle, he actually needs to walk around that flank to even start hitting the Mundo. And if you think about the first 5 seconds, it's basically Camille and Shen versus the Mundo. Nothing's going to happen of that. It's 100% guaranteed that LGD is going to be able to rotate to that point. So if you're going to make that play, why not have Coco be in position where he can land and start killing the Mundo straight off the bat? Like,
I mean, he's just constantly regenerating back to full. I don't want to see damage in the last team fight. I want to see damage healed. That's what I want to see, because Jinnu probably healed like 10 million HP, to be honest.
Bad
That's
dropship
not even an exaggeration. 10 million.
Look at that, 300 damage for Coco in that last fight. He did not have a very good time.
I mean, he just into the die, didn't he?
Yeah.
But basically, I want to see Vici combine the dropship play that was like everyone jumping on top of the Mundo with good target selection. Because they would have killed the Mundo right there, but they didn't because Audi went on a different target. And they would have killed him in the bottom side if they all went in at the same time. But you're right, it was too slow. So we're not getting the stars aligning here for Vici. That's allowing LGD to absorb the pressure that they're coming in with. And that's why we have a 42-minute game.
Oh, I can't believe it's 42 already. This meta has been very slow, to be honest. We're seeing almost 36 minutes of game time in the LPL. A lot of it does come from the fact that, especially mid laners, I believe, have slowed down. Like a lot of the snowball picks, Talon, Aurelia, Yasuo.
I think it's that, and I think that people are just having a bit of a fiesta right now in the LPL. The last couple of weeks of play have been all over the place, I'll be honest.
You don't say. That 60-minute game between Vici and RNG, when everyone said it was going to be a 2-0 for RNG, Vici showed up.
I don't know why anyone's saying that nowadays. I think it's an easy bet to say that whoever's against RNG have a pretty good shot at the crown, to be honest. That being said, tune in next week when we'll come in with week 9, and everything should be normal again, because teams will be gunning towards their last couple of points. But frankly, I can just understand why people are a little bit tired right now. I mean, what were you talking about the other day? Or you could have almost 500 games at maximum, a split?
So basically next year, because our plan is always to expand to 2 teams every year in the LPL.
It'll be 16 next year.
We would only be 90 games off from the rest of the major leagues combined in the LPL alone. Are you ready to cast some games, Pulse?
So which leagues would that be? That'd be EU, NA.
Both LCSs, LCK, plus LMS.
Plus LMS.
And we would only have 90 less games.
Okay. Well, we're going to be starting off the other Dragon right here. PYL comes in, but he doesn't have the rest of the team behind him just yet. That being said, Audi comes in with the flank. That's a crucial QSS coming in from him. Dragon very low, but now Jinnu is coming out there as well. Amy pushing forwards with the paranoia, but the Dragon, he's going to stop. He's going to just get involved in this fight. In comes Swift right here, but he's getting focused down. Amy, no one to contest him now. Audi down for the 3 count.
Oh, that was such a smart play coming out from LGD. Everyone stopped hitting the Elder Drake once the paranoia was down.
Yeah.
Swift was going in, he was thinking like, okay, they're trying to take this down. It's slow. It's like, wait a minute, it's 3k HP?
Because LGD just stopped hitting it while they just removed all the information from them.
That was
and
a
Vici
smart
just
play.
got played.
Yeah, that got played so hard.
This could be it actually right here. There's an inhibitor and a big minion wave. Actually, there is no inhibitor. They have a super minion with them right now, LGD. Pushing on to the Nexus. 37 seconds on Aldi. About 25 seconds on Swift right here. 3 versus 5. They don't have their front line. We're going to have Zentai jump into the back. But Snow, he can't really output the damage. And actually just hit a minion right here. Time is just distorting. And LGD will take game 1.
And an unexpected end to that game. It looked so good for Vici for such a long time. You know, they were getting to the point where Camille was split pushing against Mundo. They had that 1-3-1. Coco was great. But unfortunately, 2 large botch plays at the end of it. Coco dying in the team fight, them trying to go on Mundo and finish the game right there. And then the smart coming out from LGD. Baiting Sejuani to commit suicide.
Yep. It was literally a bait and an outsmart. Consider yourself baited and outsmarted. 45 minutes between Vici and LGD. Snow a lot of damage, LD as well, but in the end it didn't matter because you didn't win the game, did you?
Yeah,
you
it
see that
has
goal
to
graph
feel
was
bad.
definitely told the tale of the game. You know, if we're looking at this one and we're saying that you know, Vici, you know, you had a time around mid game where you could definitely come back into this, and you were like, okay, right, that's around the 27 minute mark we're looking at this, where they equalized the goal total. That big drop off from LGD. And on the LGD side, you're like, well, you're starting to scale off because you hit mid game. But it was just the 2 big attempts, or maybe even 3, I would say, from Vici that came in there, which they just fumbled really bad. Where actually, you could, if you wanted to, if you were Vici, you could probably just keep on waiting.
Yeah,
you could actually just wait until the 90-minute mark and be like, now is our time to shine, and then you just jump in and win.
The play about Swift is that I felt like they were undecisive in that situation. What they could have done was completely back out of the Elder Drake area and let Vici, let LGD take over, and then they try to go for the team fight there. But what they chose was to have Swift go in by himself, which was a really weird decision. If he loses, you just lose the game. So, a bit of a misplay at the end here, but looking over at the draft, I think the cool thing that we're seeing is that Camille is going to be a big flex for Vici going forward. They are trying to put Audi back onto this. And for me, this is the weird thing, is that I don't feel like Yuki necessarily has a good answer for the Rise. You know what Coco is going to pick every single game, but I don't think he's necessarily preparing for it. He's just going, I'm just going to take Zoe every single game.
Yeah, I think so too, Clement. That's a very good chance that they're doing that. Again, LGD, they won this game, but it didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of stumbled into a win. Like, they got to a certain point,
they definitely did.
They got stalled out, and it's just like, at this point, with your composition, you have failed your composition, you should lose, on paper. But then Vici, they fumbled with the ball as well come late game. And again, like, we had that final fight, 2 kills. Yes, it was a great play coming out of individuals, but I'm talking about the composition right here. The composition is what fell apart, not the individuals. And you said in that last fight, it was really about the Nocturne and that play of the team. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Bottom side, I'm thinking towards Yuki. I thought he just popped off on that Zoe, kills 3 people, and you're like, great. Individual plays from these players, but that's not what is going to get you over the line to playoffs. That's not what is going to get you, you know, potential run into the playoff gauntlet. What's going to get you over the line is actually making sure that your compositions work, your drafting works, and your team comprehension works. So there's a lot of ways to go if you're both LGD and Vici.
LGD, to sum it up, they didn't win the way they wanted to, but it was a win in the end, and I think I actually give a lot of credit to Vici for breaking LGD's momentum. Because the play in the top side was really what shook the game to its core, and you could see the gold swing then going to Vici's favor, where they had the late game scaling, they had the double infernals, and they could look to close out the game. So Vici with a great pick into the top side was really what brought them into the game. But the problem with a team that really hasn't won anything and hasn't been able to close out games is they really don't know how to finish post 30 minutes. We were looking at a composition where they could go 1-3-1. They had a Rise for basically unlimited dropship plays. It was very easy for them to lock down the future objectives, and they just threw all of it away. They were too eager to finish the game then and there by going in the Elder Drake, by going on the Mundo, which was a little bit weird.
It was just disconnected, honestly, because it was 3 plays in a row where they had all the components of a good play. You know, they had all the pieces of the jigsaw, but they couldn't all put it in at the same time, right? Because we saw the first play that was the dropship, and it was like fantastic. Dive on the Mundo when he's by himself only with a Nocturne, nuke him down. But then Aldi is over eager and he's like, we can also get a Nocturne off of this. No, you can't. And then the Mundo goes back to full health, Nocturne goes back to base, they lose the fight. Following one, it's too slow, as you said. All right, Clement, I've got a question for you. Who is your MVP of the match if you're giving it to LGD?
Oh, man. Yuki's a very strong contender. I feel like the fight in the bottom was very good and he definitely did most of the damage, but that was such a good play. That was a sweet play from Amy at the end. That was such a sweet mind play from Amy at the end.
So it's definitely between Amy and Yuki.
Yeah,
let's take a look at our man of the match, shall we, for LGD. It's just kidding, it's Waifu.
He did do a lot of damage.
he did.
He had very good positioning. Kept himself alive, but I'll be honest, I felt like in the last 2 team fights, the plays kind of fell on his lap.
Yep.
It's like Coco
so there's a term in FPS games, you know, like CSGO, and it's just like, well, they just walked into his crosshair. Pretty much. I think that's basically what happened for the marksman right there. He just walked into his crosshair.
Yeah, he was coming out of base and Coco was there and there was Alistar between them. And I was like, I guess that's MVP, boys.
All right, here we go. Lock it in, folks. Fantastic. All right, that's going to do it for now. We are going to send it to a quick break. When we get back, we're here with game number 2.
不破不立，只有经历巨变，老干爹才能重获新生。